Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Fletcher. I'm the CEO for Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area, and I'd like to thank you all for joining and welcome you all to the kickoff of the Highland Lakes, which is Burnet and Llano counties strategic workforce plan that we've been working on here for, seems like for 5 or 6 years, but really we've really been working on it for about the past 18 months. We thought it was critical for our workforce board area, which is the 9 counties that surround Travis County, to have a strategic workforce plan. And we felt like that plan should be tailored to each county where we do business. So we spent a lot of time building a regional plan which covers all 9 counties and helps us coordinate with workforce activities with the capital area workforce board in Travis County. And then we have a specific strategic plan for each of the 9 counties within our 9 county area. And we, as we built these out, and while we have a specific plan for both Llano County and for Burnet County, as we built out our coalition to help guide us in this particular area, we seem like we're having a lot of duplication of folks that should be on both counties coalitions. So we ended up joining those coalitions together and creating one coalition to serve both counties. So we're pretty excited about getting this plan off the ground. I think most of our coalition members have been contacted, and we've got our first coalition meeting scheduled to happen later this month on April the 30th. We're excited to get that going. But we wanted to just talk a little bit today about the plan, what it, kind of where it came from, what it means, where we're trying to go. And then I'd like to also introduce our workforce board chair, Frank Leonardis. Frank is a manufacturer from the San Marcos area. So Frank, thank you for joining us this morning. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you, Paul. Again, as Paul stated, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. It's exciting to begin to kick off these strategic plans specific to each of the counties. Like he said, staff has been working for well over a year to tailor these needs to each individual county that we work with. So on behalf of the board, we thank you for your time and your participation in this process. We look forward to the coalitions being formed and those meetings beginning to take place and setting forth some guidance as to how we intend and want to look at workforce needs, housing needs, childcare needs, all the things related to workforce in the Burnet and Llano County area moving forward over the next 3 years. So your participation in this process has been critical and will continue to be. So we thank you for your time and contribution to this.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Paul.
So the next one we'd like to do is kind of go over the plan goals that we established as we created this plan. So what we really wanted to do is to look at some big structural barriers that exist that helps keep us from being able to supply the talent that our businesses need in each of our areas. So we looked at some things that were preventing us from getting people the training that they needed to go to work for the jobs that were available. Some of the things that came up everywhere we looked were housing, childcare, transportation, and broadband access. We found all of those things really in every place that we looked. And while the workforce board is not the entity that can address those things by itself, we feel it's important that we bring people to the table that can help work on those issues and work on them locally, so we can make sure that we're trying to fix those things, get out of our silos and try to work together to fix some of these big issues. We want to enhance the employer-led, demand-driven workforce system, and then create stronger pathways to self-sufficient employment and career advancement. Just as some background for the plan, so we started working on this plan. We had some stakeholder surveys back in the summer of 2020. We held a specific county workshop to talk about the issues that were relevant to each of those areas. We did those back in August and September. And then we incorporated labor market information, things like that, to help guide the work we heard during the focus groups. So some of the key findings, we're going to do these, we'll do Burnet County and then we'll do Llano County. So we have an aging population, low labor force participation, a shortage of workers with in-demand technical skills, a lack of workforce housing, and childcare were highlighted as significant issues in the county. We have a great partner in the area, Workforce Network, Inc., and through their partnership with local economic development organizations, we have successfully executed high demand training grants in the region to better align the talent pipeline. And we feel like this model could be scaled up to provide more training for adult learners. So we've had, I think this is our third high demand job training grant that we've done with Christian Fletcher and the Marble Falls Economic Development Group in conjunction with Workforce Network. And I think we're about to kick off the third one of those. So we've got some background there. We've got some skill doing that, and I think we'll be able to use that as a model on how we ramp up and expand that. And even before the pandemic, we had a high percentage of remote workers here, and looking at that as an opportunity to attract more remote workers could be something to look at for the future. So our priorities for Burnet County is to launch this Workforce Matters Coalition that I talked a little bit about. This coalition is going to be structured of folks from local government, from education, business, community-based organizations, trying to bring in all the partners to help understand what the issues are, and then let's try to work together to bring in resources to try to work on these issues. We want to increase the awareness of high demand careers and opportunities to connect with Burnet County employers while ensuring educational programs in the region are training for the right skills. So part of the work that we did was to do a SWOT analysis. So we looked at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you can see those there. I don't want to go and read them all, but we talked a lot about some of the great partners we have in the Burnet and Llano area, and we want to use all those partners that we have to work on these things. A lot of some of the weaknesses show up in the data when we look at the low labor force participation rate and what we can do to try to address some of those things. So key findings in Llano, I think we saw a lot of the same issues, not a big surprise. We have even a larger share of the adult population without a high school diploma, an aging population, low wages, broadband access, and housing were all issues. Our partner Workforce Network is there with us in Llano as well. We had the opportunity to work with them through the Community Resource Center quite often, and we have a really good partnership there. Small businesses are the base of the economy, and support for those business owners and entrepreneurs offers another important opportunity in Llano County. Our priorities for Llano, much like Burnet, we want to launch our Strategic Matters, our Workforce Matters Coalition, and we'll be looking at all those same issues that we talked about before: housing, transportation, childcare, and broadband. We want to make sure that we thoroughly understand what the business community needs for their talent supply and what the skills of the local labor force are, and then work to address the gaps where the skills don't meet the needs of the employers, whether that's bringing in training or whatever the solution is to try to get people to the place where they can fill those jobs our employers need. Conducted the same kind of SWOT analysis for Llano County. You can see the results of that there. Now I'd like to introduce Dianna Tackett. She's our Chief Operations Officer. And Dianne, I kind of stole a little bit of her thunder because I ran through the SWOT analysis. That was supposed to be her thing to talk about. But Dianne, do you want to comment on any of those things we ran through?
Oh, thank you, Paul. No, I appreciate that. We looked at all of that information and really used it to come up with several goals for each of the counties that we'd like to highlight. So I'm going to highlight some goals, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kara DiMattina Ryan, who's our Chief Strategy Officer, who's going to highlight the goals for Llano County as well. But for Burnet County, based on the SWOT analysis and based on the focus groups and feedback from the stakeholders in the community, we identified 3 main goals with several sub-goals. So the first goal is to collaborate on solutions for structural barriers. What this means is that we need to strengthen the awareness of structural barriers and encourage more collaboration to address those large-scale workforce-related challenges. One of the first steps that we would like to do is to convene the stakeholders in Burnet County to gauge their interest in joining the Workforce Matters Coalition. And in doing so, we'd like to identify a community champion to spearhead the initiative in the county, prioritize which topic to kind of tackle first. We know that housing and childcare are 2 issues that emerged as top priorities in those input sessions. And so we're looking for input on which, if we should tackle one or the other or both. Another goal is to work with the Burnet County Community Resource Center and opportunities for Williamson Burnet counties to engage and grow their existing volunteer bases to support the work that the Workforce Matters or Community Matters coalitions will be accomplishing. And then thirdly, we're going to help engage employers in the Workforce Matters Coalition as volunteers and potential funders, especially for those initiatives that represent significant barriers to workers and job seekers in the county. Our second goal in Burnet County is to enhance the region's employer-led and demand-driven workforce system. So we'd really like to infuse industry input and engagement throughout the workforce system so that we can get feedback for the types of education and training that employers need for job seekers, and that we can provide that opportunity. One way we're going to do this is through working with the Marble Falls EDC, the Burnet EDC, and potentially the Bertram EDC, as well as different chambers of commerce, to collaborate on workforce initiatives such as high demand job training grant, the rural healthcare initiative, or other items that might come up. We would like to encourage these partners to launch the Workforce Matters Coalition countywide and use that as a forum for business engagement in the workforce system. Another step that we're going to do for Goal 2 is to help raise awareness of opportunities for Burnet County employers to participate in the coalition so that they can articulate their training needs, serve in advisory roles for CTE programs at the school districts, and participate in other career awareness and readiness events. We're also going to look at the labor market information. We're going to distribute Burnet County's workforce profile and make presentations on labor market conditions and trends in the county so that the partners and other essential stakeholders, including the school districts and other community organizations, really kind of have an understanding of what the economic indicators are and what the labor market trends are that are affecting the communities out there. Next, we're going to customize a list of career lattice systems that apply specifically to Burnet County. So we've been working on those career lattices already. And it's a great visual representation that shows how starting at one tier of a skill set can really open up opportunities to many different career paths. And it also provides information on education and training that would be necessary to move into those career paths, and will provide information on what employers in the area are looking for that skill set. So it really is kind of a comprehensive visual representation of different opportunities that students and adults in the area would be able to consider. We're also looking at expanding those career lattices so that we can include occupations like construction laborers, home health and personal care aides, secretaries and administrative assistants, and child care workers. As we identify what the needs and trends are in the community, we would consider developing new career lattices based on other entry-level jobs that are common entry points for that county. The third goal that we have in Burnet County is to create pathways to self-sufficient employment and career advancement. We're going to look at the well-defined pathways to help guide job seekers into high-demand career opportunities that provide family-supporting wages and opportunities for advancement. A couple of the ways that we would like to do this is working through the school districts to ensure that their career and technology programs are linked and aligned with the high-demand careers that exist in the county. That can include things like business, health science, construction, education, or hospitality. We're also going to partner with those school districts to recruit employers to participate on those school districts' business advisory committees. So employers on these committees would then review the curriculum, provide resources and information to help improve that information, and act as a resource for students as they're doing their practicums. We would also explore the possibility of centralizing this for programs that are offered in more than one of the school districts. A couple of other ways that we're going to help to create career pathways to self-sufficient employment is to continue to work with the EDCs, continue to work with Workforce Network, and use those resources to identify training needs that bring adult education programs for high demand careers into the county. We're going to partner with the county stakeholders to plan and execute some career awareness and readiness activities, expand our reach at existing events such as the Marble Falls High School Partnership with the Rotary Club for Career Day. We're also going to partner with chambers of commerce and employers to establish a scholarship fund to provide financial support for students who enroll in training programs related to high demand careers in Burnet County. We're going to continue to work with the Halbert Unit Second Chance Program to identify training and employment opportunities for inmates and ex-offenders, and partner with relevant organizations to match those folks with needed services in the community. And then finally, we're going to work with the EDCs and chambers of commerce to identify opportunities to assist businesses in developing and expanding in Burnet County. So we want to try to pull more business opportunities, employment opportunities into the county. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Kara DiMattina Ryan, and she can talk about the strategic plan for Llano County.
Thank you, Diane. And you're going to see a lot of very similar goals for both Llano and Burnet. And that's because we saw so many similarities in the way the two counties were growing that in so many ways, we're hoping to help you guys grow together and continue to leverage those resources, just as Paul mentioned earlier. So we do have collaborate on solutions for structural barriers. And of course, we want to convene our stakeholders in Llano County and really figure out how we can address those bigger issues that rose to the top as we were talking. And in Llano County, the two that really rose to the highest top were housing and broadband. And then, of course, we want to bring in the Llano County Community Resource Center into this discussion as well. We know how great of a partner they are, and help engage employers as well, because realistically, we're the pipeline between these community groups and workforce and the employers. Oh, next slide. Enhance the region's employer-led and demand-driven workforce system. Of course, we want to strengthen our partnerships with different businesses throughout the county, and also our partners who represent larger groups of employers at one time, including the Llano Chamber of Commerce, the Llano EDCs, and the Hill Country Builders Association. And of course, we want to continue our partnership with Workforce Network and really build out that workforce coalition to continue these conversations and make sure we're being effective. Distribute Llano County's workforce profile to economic and workforce development stakeholders. Of course, we want to keep the data that we have out in front of everyone so that it's useful, and that when anyone does need data, that they know that they're able to come to us and use the most recent types of data available. And obviously, as Diane had mentioned earlier, of course, we want to also continue building out our career lattice system in a way that supports both our school systems and our employers. So we'll be continuing out on that effort, and especially as it relates to Llano County. Next slide. And then goal 3 is create pathways to self-sufficient employment and career advancement. And of course, that means that we want to make sure that we're starting with Llano ISD to really make sure that we're working, making our students aware of what's available to them so that they can stay and live and work in Llano County and or nearby. And so that means bringing in employers to have those conversations and make sure that we're building out that pipeline from that ground up. Next slide. create pathways, continue to work with Llano EDC and Workforce Network to identify training needs. And that's because they're two of our groups that really represent larger swaths of employers. So we want to continue to make sure that we have a strong partnership with them. And while we also expand opportunities for post-secondary education throughout the county and figuring out how we can do that with Central Texas College and other partnerships. Partner with the chambers of commerce and employers to establish a scholarship fund that would provide financial support for students who enroll in training programs related to our high demand careers. And I think this would be where one of those high reaching goals for us, and I think we can really do it, is we just really need to start emphasizing how great it can be to earn a certificate or certification really, so that, and starting to fund that as we move forward in the counties. Because we do see scholarship programs for higher education, we should be including training certifications within that as well, and really showing that same level of value. Strengthen and support the network of resources to support small businesses and entrepreneurs. And of course, we want to continue to build that out because we know how important our small businesses are to Llano County. Next slide. And then I will pass it off to Eugene to discuss data.
Good afternoon, everyone. Footnote before I go over this data with you, this was done as a snapshot in time. Most of it you will see was August of 2020. Of course, things have changed. However, we utilized this data to help develop the plan. And as Kara had said earlier, any of this data, if you so desire, we can provide it to you at any time. I love to look at this stuff and definitely get it to you. So we're looking now at the civilian labor force in August of 2020. This is for all 9 of our counties. And it was that during that specific time, remember we were going through COVID. So lots of things have changed. Next slide, if you don't mind. This slide here, you will notice, and I just want to give you a heads up, Burnet, Fayette, and Blanco counties had lost labor force, and Llano shows to have increased. This is a chart of percentage. Please remember with this, I'm just giving you a heads up, this is on population. Burnet and Llano has a small population compared to others. We're on Burnet and Llano, we're talking to people in the hundreds. We're not talking of thousands. So the labor force did drop, and the labor force means they are not looking for employment at all. They've just stopped working. And so with that said, it's hard to do a numerical number because when you get into your larger counties, the chart would be, it would go from 0 to thousands. So hope I didn't over explain that, but I didn't want you to see that and freak out. And that was as of August. That is not currently as of today. All right, next slide. Unemployment rate, once again, August 2020. It was pretty much so in line, all the counties population wise. And that is the hard numbers. By the way, if you have any questions, we do have the Q&A open, and Brian and I are definitely looking at it to answer any questions you may have. We had the hard numbers prior to this. This is the percentage. Most everything that is out on labor market information is done by percentages. People that know me know that I like to look at hard numbers because if you have a small numerator and denominator, it's going to really affect your percentage, and it could skew what you're looking at. So this was in August, and you'll notice that Burnet and Llano, and it's really hard for me to see the slide, but if I'm not mistaken, we're actually a little bit below on the unemployment rate compared to some of our larger counties. Okay, next slide. Labor force participation rate. This is, of course, the participation rate for people 16 plus. Interesting thing, there's some participation rate for labor force that goes above 16 that starts, I believe, at 20 something. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, participation rate, labor for participation rate, hard for me to say that, is a little bit higher when you take out the 18 and below. Okay, next slide. Median hourly wage. This is just the statistics that's out there right now. for the industries and the economy that's out there. Didn't really expect to see, to be honest with you, high wages in the Llano and Burnet area. This is about, but it's about in line with all the other areas. Poverty rate is a little high in those areas of midway probably. Both of them right at about 11% for Burnet and Llano. And once again, I stated I can get individual numbers for each county if anybody ever wants this. Educational attainment, this is actually looking at the percentage of people in the county that does not have at least a high school diploma. So that on the educational attainment, it's pretty much a lack of the degree. And that's that percentage. Retirement exposure, that's looking at the percentage of population over the age of 55. So it's who is getting close to retirement. So that, as we know, Llano is a retirement community. One day hope to retire back there myself. So that is why you're going to see a higher percentage there. And Burnet is right there behind them. Okay. Remote workers, as Paul said earlier on his conversation with you, that before the pandemic, there was already quite a pretty good percentage of people already doing remote work. So we do have that information if you wish. And now I'm gonna swing it right back to Kara and let her talk about the coalitions.
Yeah, so, well, and I don't know if Faye and Gail are on here. I would love to include them as part of this conversation. Please come off mute because they've been a big part of helping us really start to put this together. But we are starting a Highland Lakes Workforce Matters Coalition. And we're involving as many, I believe invitations have already gone out, and we are willing to increase that list if there's anyone who really wants to join. But our intention, as we kind of talked about early on, is to form this coalition of Llano and Burnet representatives, have high-level discussions and really identify data sources and identify where the gaps are in the data that we have, to either realize that we need more information or figure out that there is something that we can maybe look at to address that we can leverage resources across all of our organizations to do so. Faye, do you want to jump in?
I'm happy to jump in. This is this Workforce Matters Coalition is something that we at Workforce Network have been wanting to put together for the past few years. As we have done training throughout the Llano and Burnet counties, we have identified these specific barriers to completion of training or in offering the training. Both, we've encountered both situations. And as it says on the screen, it's housing, it's affordable housing, it's childcare, it's transportation, broadband, and of course, broadband became much more important over the last year. But it's an issue that is shared by both counties, and we would like, because we believe that the workforce comes from both Llano and Burnet County, it is our belief that we'd like to work together to address these. We understand there are limitations to the resources within counties, and we are willing to work around those, but we'd like to get a focus that is on creating solutions rather than accepting the limitations. Gail, what can you add to that? Are you with me still?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Can.
I would just like to add that another barrier for us offering training, the type that's really focused on skills development, is facilities. And so we want to work with the community also on facilities that allow us to have workshops for hands-on, labs and workshops in healthcare and construction trades and so on, our high demand occupations. So even though that's not listed here, I think for Llano and Burnet County, it is something that we would add as we get into discussions. And that will help us build capacity to have more people trained, increase the pipeline of people being trained in high demand occupations and available with the skill set that the employers need.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gail. This is really about breaking down those barriers to make sure that we are, that we're serving those needs that Gail and Faye have also pointed out. I know that it's not specified here that this is about, that these are specific barriers to high demand occupations, but for us, we look at it that way as being the sole purpose of what this strategic plan is about, is how can we build out this talent pipeline in a stronger way. And with that in mind, is there anyone, we'd love to open up the floor to questions in general for everyone who's participating today. Oh, I didn't see Donna on there earlier. Donna, I know we've listed you quite a bit. I don't know if you'd like to say a few words, because we really appreciate your support as well through the community resource centers.
Oh, I thank you very much. We are very interested in continuing our long time partnership and the opportunities that you all have brought through the workforce program. We're very successfully taking advantage of some of the positions that are available in our rural communities for nonprofits. And we do have space available for training with all the equipment needed before and during and after hours. So we plan to be very attentive, and we'll work very diligently with Workforce Matters Coalition for both of our communities, because I kind of live on the line of Llano. But thank you for your everything you all do here.
Thank you. I thought I saw Jeff Looney. He raised his hand. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, I just thank y'all for allowing me to be a part of this, and being here in Granite Shoals, we certainly have a lot of things that are needed, and in regards to this, I see so many of our people working really hard, and some of them really are involved in the grunt work of our society, doing a lot of the tough things, building homes and pouring concrete and those kinds of things. I don't know if this is appropriate to ask or not. I see how some of this, I know how some of this works with some different things I've done, but is there a way to maybe flip it some too, where people like me, that I don't speak Spanish, and is there a way to do the workforce stuff where it helps current people that are employed, that maybe we can have some training on speaking Spanish, or having I'll go to school, back to school. I don't want to, but I will. But I think that that's something that would maybe even help some of the employers. And then when we think about designing programs, some of these guys, really young guys and girls that come out, don't really know how to operate heavy equipment. And that is something we see around here a lot that's used. I just give you a little example, though. It's kind of fun that I'm talking about young people know more about heavy equipment than I would have ever thought. We did a little thing for Halloween, and I had the backhoe down here and had some skeletons on it. and a little girl came up to me and she said, "Can I sit on the excavator?" I said, "Well, how did you know it was an excavator?" And she said, "From Bob the Builder." So they get the information that they're processing things that we don't necessarily understand. But I think that's a prime example of where some of those things can help us. And then I guess lastly, and I'll try to be quiet for a little bit, but what kind of substance abuse programs are out there? You know, a lot of people that are trying to find a job, they've either got a problem and you know, they can't be hired because they have a problem or they haven't got themselves cleaned up. But you know, that's a societal thing, and I think we just have to address it. And I don't know if this is the proper format to address that or not, but I think it's important. I will tell you this, that I was involved with Hope Andrada, and she was with the governor's office on economic development. And we started a program in Fairfield, Texas, where we worked with Navarro College. And we started a technical program that was sponsored even through the city and through our EDC, where they were learning welding skills, and we got the building. We even had nursing stuff. We had some of the hospitals donate some of their older equipment so that people could learn how to be a nurse's aide or do new nursing and different things like that along the way. So, you know, that's very successful. Still operates today. But you know, I just want to be a help, not a hindrance, and I'll be quiet. But I know those things seem to be important for us around here. But we have such a great, hardworking workforce out here, and I'm in the same boat they are. When you come down here, you love the area, but the cost of living is so great. How do we take care of these folks? And you know, a real scenario. You know, I've got police officers that have come to work here, and due to mistakes they've made in their lives, they got second families or whatever, and they're paying child support. It doesn't leave them a lot of money to live on. You know, when you get maybe a $2,500 check and for every 2 weeks, and one of those checks is gone for child support and housing and all that, it doesn't leave a whole lot. So I'm done. I'll be quiet.
Well, I have a few things to share with Mr. Looney. I'm sorry, Mr. Looney, I don't know that we have met, but I certainly look forward to talking with you because your ideas are very much in line with what Gail and I, and of course Kara and Christian and everybody, and have been talking about, and Rhonda, who is on our board. In workforce housing, I know Donna Klager is very active in addressing the workforce housing issue, which is affordable housing, especially for our teachers and for our public servants.
Oh, yeah.
And Donna, I'll let you talk to that after I share just a couple of good immediate responses that I want Mr. Looney to be aware of. We have just launched the PATHS grant, which is a grant that was secured by Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area, but it's designed to upskill both job seekers and what in the workforce business we call incumbent workers, those who are currently employed. And we are out there. Kip is on this call. Kip and I have been out in Llano and Burnet County. I mean, we just started a week ago, so we have lots to cover. But we are excited about the opportunities that can be offered to upskill our workers. I just had a call with Nellie Reyes there with Workforce, and we were talking about equipment operators and what would it cost to upskill job seekers to run the equipment. We also are aware that the warehouses and Lowe's and all of the retailers, the PATHS grant is designed towards retailing and hospitality. And so at this point, we're very excited about the potential. We are not setting limitations on it. but there is a wide range of training that's available to our counties, both Llano and Burnet County. So we're excited about that grant. We're also excited about the high demand job training grant. Oh, and by the way, I hadn't thought about learning Spanish as a part of that grant, but that might be a possibility. Thank you for that suggestion. And then there's also a high demand job training grant that is launching as we speak. We are, that grant, as Paul mentioned, is our third to do plumbing, and that's NCCER level 1 and level 2 training, and electrical, NCCER level 1 and level 2. And in the fall, we'll also start the certified clinical medical assistant program. Right after that, and Diane, I know you are here. Would you like to talk a little bit about the $2.5 million that's coming our way in regards to healthcare?
Well, I thought you would never ask, but I would love talking about the $2.5 million in rural healthcare initiatives that's coming to the area. So a quick summary of this. Back in November, we applied for a Department of Labor H-1B grant, and the grant is designed to work to alleviate healthcare professional shortages in rural areas. So there's a department at the federal level that has identified rural areas where there is a lack of healthcare providers, lack of healthcare professionals, and the Burnet County, Blanco County, Llano County, Lampasas County area kind of all meets that criteria. So we've applied for this grant, and we were the only location in Texas to be awarded a rural healthcare initiative grant, and the grant is just under $2.5 million. So what this will do is bring the opportunity to train professionals in rural, in different healthcare professions, with the idea that if we bring the training out to the rural area and we're focusing on enrolling in the rural areas, it will be more likely that the students will work in the area that they've been trained in the geographic area. And so we've identified probably 10 or 12 different occupations that we'll be focusing on training. We are doing some planning for that grant now, and we're working with different training providers. We're working with different employers to help inform what the content and really the modules of training will look like. And over the course of the next 4 years, we are anticipating training about 200 individuals in occupations ranging from certified nursing aide all the way through to LVN and RN. And then we're also looking at some more technical positions like surgical technician, radiological technician. There's a pharmacy technician track that we could use. And then we also looked at a couple of different mental health occupations that could include things like substance abuse counseling, mental health, chemical dependency counseling and support. So we're very excited to be able to start the planning process on this, and like really just October is just a few short months away, but hang in there with us because we'll be ready to start pushing this out by the beginning of October.
Donna, I alluded to the workforce housing, and I don't know about substance abuse. Do you want to share any from the Community Resource Center perspective on those?
Thank you. Of course, the Community Resource Centers have centers in Llano and in Marble Falls area. And actually, Llano County will probably be about 130% full by the end of June, sharing of offices. So it's very exciting. And we only have 2 offices left here in Marble Falls. So I think the biggest, affordable housing continues to be at the top of the list of everyone. I think there's a lot of affordable housing going up in our community, right around our community resource centers. And our goals are always trying to keep people close to where they live so they can access care. Also, there's an initiative in Marble Falls area to address some of the homeless challenges. And there's a lot of people involved of course, our Community Resource Center will be responsible for helping connect people to services, and we are doing that now. We don't have a homeless shelter. There is a large group of people working on that initiative. I think two of the most important things other than that is the mental health issues that we do have. You know, we have counselors in our community resource centers. Bluebonnet Trails is overloaded with cases of need. Substance abuse is all wrapped into it. And I think there really needs to be some direct services that we can identify and assist with. And the other is childcare. I mean, as Jeff was talking about, you know, you don't make a lot of money, and if you have 2 kids, you can't work because your daycare costs more than your job pays. And it's true, it's reality, and we see it every day. People coming in needing assistance, but they had a job, but they can't afford to keep their job because they don't have a place. And so that's one of the initiatives that I would like to help you all with in the Burnet County and Llano County areas to address how we together as a community can address those issues. Also, thank you to WSRCA. I don't know, the unemployment program that you all have in providing nonprofit organizations free employees for a year is amazing. We have employed a navigator position at the Community Resource Center, and she is so good. And we do have a Spanish-speaking site coordinator in Johnson City. And so we're still waiting for other positions in Llano and Marble Falls for site coordinators. So these are amazing opportunities that our nonprofit organizations have to have additional help in getting through the crisis that we have because of all the work that people just need help continually at this point. So hats off and thank you. And we are very interested. We do have a meeting room and a conference room that's available for anybody who wants to have some training, nice in a kitchen. So we can do some food programs and different kinds of programs in our resource center in Marble Falls. And then we have a community room in Llano. Thank you. Hi, Mike. I just saw you down there.
We hope to take advantage of all of that, Donna. Thank you so much. And we're hoping that as we build out this coalition, it'll help us leverage resources to make sure that we're able to use all the resources that Donna is offering and that we don't let any of that go to waste in terms of what's available. And I plan on taking you up on that for the coalition meetings too. Sorry. And if there's anything else, are there any other questions, thoughts, concerns, whatever?
Just one more that you might want to consider in here too is airplane mechanic school. Sending some of these kiddos that young people that want a really, really fantastic career as aeronautics continues to grow. We've got plenty of airports around here, and you know, I've been experienced with some of that, and it's really, really a good thing if you can get some young people involved in that that really want to make a career for themselves. They can make a lot of money at it too.
It's a really interesting point that might help us. There are a lot of airports that have been having the same conversation. So maybe that's a reason for us to get some of those smaller airport companies together that's a little more regional.
Yeah.
Well, then, so that we don't take up all of your time, if there isn't anything else, we can wrap things up, and I'll pass it off to I think Paul. Do you want to close us out?
I will. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kara. You know, I think that discussion we just had is a great example of what happens when you get a lot of smart people together on a call or in the same room and start addressing subjects that we all know a little bit about, but we don't all know everything. And we, good discussions happen and ideas pop up. And I think this bodes well for the future. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. I especially want to thank Gail Davalos and Faye Kreider. They've been really helpful to us to help try to figure out how we do things in that area. Donna Klager, thank you. You've been very helpful giving us a place to live out in Llano County for the last couple of years. And we're looking forward to that growth out there and having some new office mates with us there in the Llano office. And Christian Fletcher, thank you. You were one of the first economic development groups in the state to take advantage of the high demand job training opportunities. And we've really seen that grow over the last several years. Looking forward to that continuing as we go forward. I also want to thank some of our volunteer board members from the Workforce Board that are here on the call with us today. They give a lot of their time to a lot of the things that we do. And I appreciate them being here. Frank Leonardis, who we heard from, Riley Mitchell, who is from Llano, and Tim Oles, who is there from Marble Falls with Baylor Scott and White. And then Mike McCowan, who's no longer on our board, but was on our board from Horseshoe Bay, is here with us today as well. So thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate your time, not just on this call, but on all the things you do for the Workforce Board. Thank you very much. And with that, I will, I'll ask Frank if he has any final closing thoughts, and then we'll call it a day.
Again, thanks for everybody's participation. We look forward to moving forward with these plans in your area. I think you can look forward to Paul's staff to help provide guidance and direction, but we certainly need your expertise and your thoughts to make these plans successful. So thank you again for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.